World of YouTube, terrible sight. Back with another video, and we are going deep to the Finland lands of Finland, Finnish. This story has came up. I don't know where I was going through with probably my emails, probably the lineup or one of my graveyard shift list of things I get from them two websites. Very awesome websites, and they come up with very awesome mystery, stories. And this one is a very interesting one about 4 teens going out on a camping trip. I never knew the children of Bodom, heavy metal Finnish band, named their band after this. And very sad story. One person had survived, and this is probably one of the most notorious unsolved murders in Finland, Finnish history. And what I believe has happened and how one victim survived, the way the person killed these teens, got to the last person and was probably so extremely tired and worn out, he couldn't finish the job. And unfortunately, the surviving victim, they tried to pin it on him, but stupidly, right, he was not the murderer. And why would you say that? And why would I bring that up first? Is because, right, he was the surviving victim. He was probably the last victim. And if that person, like I just said, couldn't finish the job, but yet he had fractures in his face, he did get stabbed, but it wasn't severe enough because it was 4 people here. And if he was most rightfully the last victim to get this treatment done to him, yeah, I would have assumed that, right, he would have, the killer would have friggin' finished him off, but it is an insane story. And yeah, the idiot that did this was probably just a big wussy and couldn't finish the job, because, right, just a big wussy. But it makes me sick, and I will like to start off this case, of course, with a moment of silence for the victims. So, as it was said, 1960, June 5th, 4 kids went out and it seems to be a boyfriend-girlfriend thing. Now, something was said about the 4th victim that survived. What's his name? Get to that. Oh, Gustafson. Yeah, I don't even want to say his first name. Nils. Yeah, these names I ain't even gonna butcher on, because I know there's Borklund, Mackay, and something about a jealous rage. But if these 2 boys on your right went out with 2 girls, boyfriend, girlfriend, you could say so, going out the lover's lane, probably in their heyday, is the reason this attack maybe occurred. Witness two, I don't know if it says two young boys witnessed a man walking away from the scene around 6 a.m. Here's the tent that was collapsed. The morning of the incident, two boys were hiking. Poorly saw a collapsed tent, spotted a blonde man walking away from the area. The body was discovered around 11 a.m. after a runner named Risto alerted police. Now, why the kids didn't run and do this is beyond me. Unless they just thought the guy was maybe a homeless man bum, just living there or whatnot, or camping his own self. Here is Gustafson as seen. Some say he slammed himself in the head to give him a concussion. But like I said, He was convicted and got sentenced to life, but was acquitted because of lack of evidence and stupid stuff. And he had a busted jaw. Now, who in their right mind is going to give themselves a busted jaw and a concussion for one, as it says here? Stabbed multiple times. Where the girls, because they're still sustained a concussion, fractured jaw, facial bones, and bruises face. So, if anybody gonna give themselves a concussion and a busted jaw, and I don't even know how one could do that, put that much force. It's possible, but right. I could have sworn I read somewhere that there was blood all over the place and blood on his shoes. Yeah, that's what it was, because Gustafson's shoes were found, a mile or so or something from the crime scene, but hidden. Now, that could have rightfully been the killer that took them shoes. And of course, there's going to be blood on them. So why would this kid with a busted jaw, concussion, take his shoes a mile and hide them and then walk back to the stupid site? Is stupid. But they do have other people that were, that could have been the murderer. But go figure, none of them were convicted, I would say. Now, the biggest mistake in this case is that the police invited the public to help and look for evidence, which, that was the biggest mistake in this case. They shouldn't have invited no one, should have taped it off, law enforcement only, and sometimes that's a lot, just like the John Benet Ramsey case, which I was looking at something the other day that they found half the killer, and it was an old man with a picture. But I still think that the mother had something to do with that. And, of course, right, just like that case, everybody's coming in, tampering with evidence. If anybody was smart enough, the police would have shut that damn house down, just like they would have shut this site down, but nope. Just like John Benet Ramsey. Everybody trampled right on in, and stuff could have been taken off from this scene. And there was a guy, right, that resembled the, so evidence may have been stolen right here, it says, because the public help search. And this is another thing. This is something that leads, right to Delphi murders. Because they had a search from the public helping. And who knows if the killer, just like this one, could have been in the search and gone back to see if they left any mistakes. big wrong. That's the problem with stuff like this. And when this happens in 1960, in the Delphi 2017, you would think something from this case from 1960, which is worldwide. It says this case still baffles people, not only in Finland, but worldwide. You'd think they'd learn from this. You'd think authorities would learn from this, especially John Bonet's case, and keep the frickin' people who don't belong there out. To tamper with anything, steal something, find evidence. Oh, maybe I left something there as the killer's wandering around too. And rightfully, the guy that they suspect could have done this, and the two boys that seen the blonde-headed man walk away had the guy supposedly walked into a hospital bloody the day after the friggin' murder. But this guy was never arrested. Never charged. And he resembles the witnesses who did get to see him. Vital evidence may have been destroyed. This is the frickin' problem. Missing, including their wallets, a leather jacket, It goes on. And here's where the shoes were found later, semi-hidden about a half a mile. Sorry, I said mile. It was a half a mile from the campsite. So if everything was stolen and this killer took shoes too, or maybe he knew he didn't want to kill this kid to have, a suspect rather than him. Maybe he played it out smart and did that. But anybody with a fractured jaw, like I said, anybody with a concussion, who the hell is going to walk down half a mile, walk back, and hide their shoes? So this killer was kind of got a little brainiac going on here. Night of the crime, 2 young fishermen were spotted nearby. And the remains of several fish were found nearby. The men were never identified. Here is the suspects' descriptions from witnesses. Very creepy man. Now, one thing is there's another man that lived in this area that hated campers. He claimed that he had killed the kids, but his wife claimed that he was in bed with her at night, sleeping with her. So there's a whole bunch of crap going on, but yet, this man is seen at the funeral. And this is the one I was talking about that ended up at the hospital. Around 10 miles away from Lake Bodom. Dirt under his fingernails was covered in, unidentified red liquid. He misled doctors lying about his identity, later claimed he was with the KGB. But what gets me with this person is why in the hell would KGB want to kill innocent campers? And I don't even think this is the guy I thought hated the campers. I think that might have been another guy. But, his name's Ass Man. He cut his hair, and that made him very, very suspiciously, could have been the killer, and, he probably was the killer. Why he's out killing innocent people, though, being a KGB is beyond me. Like I said, you can see the features, although the nose looks pushed in here. Eyes have very deep sockets. But don't get me wrong, this guy seemed, and the nose looks a little gruntier. Then again, he looks like a freaking gorilla right here at the bottom right. But yet the left picture there looks like the description of the guy's nose. So, his clothing, right, matched, like I said, the description. who was seen leaving the crime scene. Of course, the kids probably obviously thought that he was the camper. A suspect drowned in Lake Bodom 9 years later. But, left a suicide note. Intense aversion to campers. Oh, this is the guy. They don't have a picture of him, though. But this is the guy that, intense aversion to campers. In a drunken rant, he told neighbors he was the murderer. And he stashed the evidence in his well. He later had the structure filled in the well. Though police investigated his property thoroughly, which I do not think they did, because they don't even say if they dug up the frickin' well. And that's what they most rightfully should have done. They found no evidence tying him to the crimes. Now, wife told police he was home in bed with her at the time of the murders. However, she changed her story on her deathbed, claiming she believed her husband was actually the murderer. So, of course, the guy probably went home, scared the crap out of his wife, and she did lie for him. So, I mean, that could be, a thought theory idea. He could be the murderer, but committed suicide. But because of destroyed evidence, and there was no, properly taken, maybe DNA that could have been taken. They should have been taking all kinds of DNA to save. But obviously they didn't do that in this case. And the dirt beneath the other guy's finger and the liquid should have been saved off the guy's clothes or whatever. But never happened to him. And did they ever get that stuff? So here's a lousy, once again, investigation. It's friggin' ridiculous. And when bad investigations get investigated like this, that's when the law enforcement of that time should have been smacked upside their head and asked why. But as you can see, stuff resembles cases of today. And why would something from 1960 be so badly, poorly investigated, but never looked up, backed up, and thought in the back of an investigator's mind to say, ooh, we should not let that happen, especially modern time. A lot of changes, a lot of DNA stuff that can be traced, but yet stuff still gets tampered with. Stuff still gets screwed up. Oh, let's just add some people in here. And that's exactly what John Bonet case did. The mother invited people in like a frickin' murderer she was. I honestly believe she did that to her daughter due to pure jealousy. That her daughter was getting attention and her mother wasn't. I don't care what anybody says. And the new evidence they have on this guy, yeah, I gotta look into that. My wife was showing me that the other night and showing me the picture of the guy, and it's like, okay. But, yes, folks, the convict confessed to the crimes. Here's another thing that happens in jails. There's always someone that's, I killed that person, running their mouths. And he was several violent crimes throughout the 60s while in jail. He told a few inmates he was the Lake Bodom murderer. Claimed to have lived near the lake. But didn't believe his confession due to his mental health issues. Now you see, people with mental health can do heinous crimes. And if he had violent crimes at the time, they should have definitely taken some DNA, but DNA wasn't taken from the damn site. It was ruined. It was, corroded by unauthorized people walking in there and screwing up the whole investigation, screwing up any DNA evidence that could have been. There could have been some kind of type of sweat falling off the person doing a heinous crime like that, swinging a pipe or a rock, stabbing, A person could have cut themselves at the heat of the moment, but poorly, poorly, bad investigation. And if they didn't keep DNA from these people, nor the case, of course this case will never be solved. And then a local worker was arrested for the murders. Was among the crimes. He recently left town, but police were able to track him down nearby town since Lumia was verifiably another place in the time of the murders at 30. So he was in another town near. And I ain't even gonna go over this one. That's Gustafson when he was arrested, and that was pretty much stupid. Stupid thing that happened to that poor man. And then you had a local politician released a book called, the Legend of Bodom. And the guy that hated and despised campers. Wow, true crime. Video being deleted, corrupt. My friggin' phone just did some funky crap. Now I'm left doing a video and merging. Terrible sight here. My phone just did some funky crap. Cut me right off. Talking about the Lake Bodom murders. And I was talking about how Gustafson was considered a suspect, but of course that is just a disgusting accusation. And I was going to say about the drunk kiosk man, how he used to put razor blades in apples, the man that hated campers, and supposedly all the friggin' residents there were scared of him, didn't turn him in or didn't say nothing, which is a stupid thing to do in my eyes. But a DNA test was never performed from that person, even though the man confessed. And then the wife, of course, on her deathbed that said her husband could have done it, but was probably just like everybody else in the village afraid to turn him in because obviously he was that man of a scary monster. Which I would have knocked him right on his ass if I was in the neighborhood. Mr. Ranting drunk, putting razor blades because someone steals your apples. Come on! Couple apples you ain't gonna miss. But anyways, as I was saying, this guy here with his violent tendencies, confessing. Of course, there was another confess, but the worst thing in this whole case, though, from narrow it down, is a DNA test never performed. Biggest mistake in all kinds of cases, and that's right. Delphi murders. John Benet Ramsey. Taj Narbonne. The list goes, there's so many cases, man. And then you got all these genetic testing coming up now, DNA testing. And now everything's starting to come down and be solved. But some cases, But this case was actually ruined, of course, like I kept saying, by people that should have never been near that scene. So, unfortunately, this case I highly believe will never be solved due to the fact, unless they dig up that man's body, get some kind of DNA off his bones or something. Who knows? Fingernails, as there was dirt. Who knows what this person did? And they also mentioned something about a cloak. Coat, like trench coat, but I don't know. That was in another article, but Just a sad situation. It only goes to show what people are capable of doing. But thought I'd share this, and just in it, look how it resembles today's cases. Insane. Why do sometimes law enforcement seem to think that getting the public involved is a smart thing to do? Because if these were local men, like the first guy that got caught at the doctor's, with the dirt in the nails and everything, and then this guy confesses, when someone sees someone going from the crime scene, what makes it think, oh, bring the public in, and you're bringing back in the killer? They could have rightfully, one of these two men could have rightfully went in there, screwed everything up, just, stolen evidence. That's right. That is the worst thing a law enforcement can do. But as you can see, here's another case that has been damaged by pure stupidity. Till the next video, be safe, take care, always beware. Hopefully this murderer suffered a long, painful death before he died. Hopefully someone killed him. But until the next video, folks.